Georgia Cryptids, Episode 6, Shadows of the Peach State, the Alapaha River Phantom. The waters of the Alapaha River wind quietly through southern Georgia, cutting through forests, farmland, and forgotten stretches of wilderness. During the day, the river looks peaceful, but at night, locals say it becomes something else entirely. For generations, people living along the banks of the Alapaha River have told stories about a strange figure seen moving near the water's edge. Some describe it as a shadow. Others claim it looks like a person, but not quite human. They call it the Alapaha River Phantom. One of the earliest reports came from a fisherman who spent most of his evenings along the river, casting lines beneath the fading light of sunset. He knew the sounds of the woods better than most. The rustling of leaves, the splash of fish, the distant calls of owls. So when he heard footsteps behind him, he knew something was wrong. Slow, deliberate steps pressed into the soft dirt along the bank. He turned, expecting to see another fisherman or perhaps a late-night hunter. Instead, he saw a tall figure standing just beyond the trees. At first, he thought it was a man, but the shape didn't move like a person. It stood perfectly still, its outline blurred by the mist rolling in from the water. The fisherman called out, asking if the stranger needed help. There was no answer. Then the figure took a step forward. Its movement was unnaturally smooth, almost gliding across the ground, rather than walking. The fisherman noticed something else that chilled him to the bone. He couldn't hear footsteps anymore. Panicked, he grabbed his gear and ran to his truck, refusing to look back until he reached the safety of the road. Later, he swore the figure had followed him along the tree line, keeping pace without making a sound. Over the years, similar sightings continued. Campers reported seeing shadowy figures watching from across the river. Hunters described hearing movement in the woods, only to find no tracks where the sounds came from. Some claimed to see glowing eyes reflecting in the darkness, hovering just above the ground, before vanishing without a trace. Descriptions of the Alapaha River Phantom vary, but several details appear again and again. A tall, shadow-like figure. Movements that appear silent or gliding. Glowing or reflective eyes. Sightings most often near water or riverbanks. Sudden disappearances when approached. Unlike many cryptids, the phantom isn't always described as an animal. Some believe it may be something more supernatural, perhaps tied to the history of the land itself. Long before modern towns appeared, the land surrounding the Alapaha River was home to early settlements and travelers. Accidents, drownings, and disappearances were not uncommon along the river's twisting channels. Some locals believe the phantom may be the spirit of someone lost to the river long ago. Skeptics suggest more natural explanations: shadows, mist, or wildlife seen in poor lighting conditions. At night, reflections on water can create strange illusions, making ordinary objects appear unnatural. But those who claim to have seen the phantom insist it was no trick of the light. They say it watched them, followed them, waited in silence just beyond the reach of their lanterns. Even today, people traveling near the Alapaha River sometimes report feeling watched when night falls. Some refuse to camp too close to the water, especially in isolated areas where the trees grow thick and the mist rolls in without warning. Because along that quiet stretch of river, something may still be standing in the shadows, watching, waiting, and moving silently along the riverbank.